You can't do this work unless you're in the theta brainwave. It's not an easy modality to master. Now, I met the practitioner, he scanned me, and the first thing he said to me is, I think you hate men. You have to be ready to look at your stuff and be open enough to go and dig. When you are in a theta brainwave, you are that much more impressionable. It's easy to hold the theta state, and it's very easy to release a belief and download feelings, but to scan a body is hard. It takes time to learn.
This is also cold reality.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk with Dan show again. Today I have a beautiful friend and guest on, Heather McKenna. She is a Theta Healer practitioner and you're going to hear all about this amazing practice. Heather, welcome.
Thank you, Daniela. It's lovely to be here.
So tell us, what is Theta Healing and how did you get involved with it?
All right. So Theta Healing is a technique that one can learn to pretty much, I would say, help you empower yourself. So it teaches you, it's working in a theta brainwave. So you learn the technique, you learn to work in a theta brainwave, which is when you slow your brainwaves down to a much more relaxed, calmer, slower pace. So you're able to access the unconscious mind. And pretty much theta healing is working within that subconscious mind. And the reason being is because most of our lives are run by our subconscious mind. And most people don't know this, but 90% of the way we show up is run by the unconscious. And so this technique gives us an opportunity to reach the unconscious, develop our awareness between what we're consciously thinking and believing and what we're unconsciously thinking and believing. And with theta, you can access the unconscious and find those belief programs, those sabotaging patterns that we have. So, for instance, with me, I felt quite stuck when I found theta healing. I felt very stuck in my life, and I was searching for answers. And somebody at my girls' school told me about somebody that did some kind of healing. So I had no idea, and I had no idea what I was coming to. I said, you know what, I'm open. I would love to get to the bottom of why I feel so stuck. And so straight from dropping my kids off at school at Rodine, I traveled to Orange Grove and I met this South African who was she'd moved to England, but she had come out to South Africa and she was just spending some time working on clients and seeing her family. And she told me things about me, about my relationship with my father that I could not believe she knew. And I just remember crying the whole session. And I'm so sorry to this day that I didn't record the session. But I left feeling so different, so much lighter. And I just thought this is the most amazing thing that I've ever experienced. So I asked her, she actually said to me as I left, she said, you know, you'd be very good at this. You should study it. And I looked at her and I said, well, never heard of anything like this in my life. Where would you even start studying? And then she mentioned the book Theta Healing. And I read the book and it resonated. So it's really, in a nutshell, Theta Healing is learning how to remove subconscious limiting beliefs that stop us from living the life that we should be living in flow, living in happiness, living in joy, and living in health. So that was a very long roundabout answer. Sorry.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. I think it was quite succinct, actually. When you read the book and you said things resonated with you, had you done any kind of healing before going to her? Were you familiar with the healing language?
Not at all. Not at all.
So how were you able to understand a lot of the principles?
It just made sense to me. So, I mean, my background is pharmacy. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for about 10 years. And then I went into advertising. So I've always been very keen on medicine, always. I actually think I wanted to study medicine growing up, but I didn't actually have the emotional intelligence to go through, because my eldest daughter's just finished medicine and it's heavy going. And I don't think, if I look back at how I was at her age, there's no ways I would have managed a course like that. So maybe it wasn't for me anyway. And then I thought of studying homeopathy when I left school, and my family, my father's an accountant, my brothers are accountants, and they were just so far away from, understanding the concept of homeopathy. So, the next best thing was pharmacy. And then, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being in the medical industry. I loved, I've always loved everything about medicine. I like the idea of culminating the two, the Western and Eastern worlds. I think there's a place for both. So using my medical knowledge, enjoying studying more about medicines. And then I got too busy, had children, and I decided I wanted a bit more of a calmer life. And I bought a laser machine, got involved in laser hair removal and a bit of aesthetics, which is really lovely. But I was still feeling like I wasn't living a happy life. I wasn't feeling happy, and I wasn't feeling like I was in flow. And then we decided to put our girls into Rodine, and we lived in Chartwell, so it was a good hour away, 45 minutes if you're not in traffic. And I just thought, and we decided to sell our house. We couldn't sell our house. And I just thought, the life's not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be so difficult to get things done. And that was when one of the vice head of the primary school at Rodine said, go and visit this lady. And that's when I went to visit her, and she said to me, no, you don't need to be struggling like this. And it was the moment I started, when I read the book, the book explained that we have lots and lots of conditioning, lots and lots of blocks that we inherit from our ancestors, from the group conscious beliefs around us, from childhood, that stop us from thriving, living a successful life.
Mm-hmm. Like programming.
Yeah, like programming.
Okay, so you read the book, and then you went to go and study where?
So when I read the book, I'm not actually sure. I think I must have found so at that stage, I think there was only one Theta Healing instructor or teaching in South Africa. And I found his name. I went and had a session with him and decided that I wanted to learn. And then on that course, I actually met two ladies that I'm friends with today, that we just all resonated and enjoyed spending time together. And then that was the beginning. I thought, well, I wasn't actually planning to practice as a Theta healer. So when I finished the course, I practiced on my friends, practiced on myself, and then just through word of mouth. And I do honestly believe that in life, sometimes we are meant to do things. And when you're meant to do something, it just all falls
on your
place.
path. Yeah. So what does practicing on your friends look like? Just for someone who doesn't even know what Theta Healing is. So you've said what it does.
Okay. All right. So when a typical example of a session on a person would be, they would come to you with any issue. So it would be a physical issue, an emotional problem, a trauma, a death, anything. It can be anything. So you would ask them to tell you what you would want, what they would want to work on, whatever the scenario may be, and you would then take them into a theta state. So automatically, as soon as you take them into a theta state, it's a meditative state. So you are relaxing them, and you are allowing them to access their unconscious mind.
How do you get them into a theta state?
It's almost like a meditative process where you take them up through the process of speaking, and then they visualize them going out of their bodies into nothingness through dark lights and light lights and all sorts of visual experiences, just to calm them and get them into a state and a place where they are serene. And it's said that once you get into that space of unconditional love, or that theta brainwave, you're reaching a space of unconditional love. And you're connecting with, you can call it source energy, with the energy of all that is, which is the pure energy of life. And when we are in our perfect, I suppose, frequency, we are in a frequency of unconditional love. So meditation is becoming it's becoming very in vogue now. Everybody's interested in meditating, and does really work. It really does work because it calms, it brings us to a place where we can introspect. We can calm ourselves down to stillness and actually think about how we're feeling, what we're doing, what's going on in our bodies. And we are learning more and more and more with all the different modalities and techniques that are out there now and available, that the more we are able to connect within ourselves, the more we can heal and the more we do heal. So that's it. It's just really taking the person into a meditative state where they can access their unconscious mind. In a beta, we are talking now, you and I, in a beta brainwave. For most people that meditate, they reach an alpha brainwave, which is also lovely because you definitely reach a state of calm and peace. With the theta brainwave, you're going slightly deeper, slowing your brainwaves a little bit more, which allows you to access the unconscious. And the beautiful thing about accessing the unconscious mind is you can remove those, acknowledge and feel those negative brain blockages and patterns and release them and reprogram or recreate new ones, which go straight into the unconscious. And with that, your awareness of what's in your unconscious mind becomes greater. So you start bridging your unconscious and your conscious mind, which eventually, when you've done lots and lots and lots of work, you automatically move into your superconsciousness, which is your truth, the truth of who you are. So most of us,
because you've connected, you've made that pathway, so it's much easier for the translation and communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. So most of us are programmed and conditioned from a young age to show up the way we are expected to show up, or the way we think we're supposed to show up. And your first 7 years of life are crucial. Your entire personality is created in the first 7 years of your life. So most of us don't. We grow up and we become, an extension of our parents, of our ancestors, of the culture that we brought up in, or the environment that we brought up in. And this work I just think it's beautiful because you learn what is truth, what is really your truth, and what's not. Just by going into that space, that beautiful theta brainwave, and
people often say that the first 7 years are the most important. Is that because you learn to self-regulate? And if you don't learn to self-regulate well, then you'll always be in chaos or turmoil? Or is it to do with the amount of love that you receive? What is it that's so imperative about the first 7 years? Well,
the important thing about the first 7 years of one's life is absolutely being in a loving environment. 100%. So I think that is the most important thing. The reason why it's so important to be in a loving, stable, nurturing environment is because children from the ages of 1 to 7, or from the age they're born, in fact, even in vitro, spend most of their time in the theta brainwave. And when you are in a theta brainwave, you are that much more impressionable. So
vulnerable in a sense.
So whatever you experience in that brainwave it's almost like imprinted into the unconscious, the subconscious, and that becomes who you are. So even if you have a traumatic experience as a very young child, and it's not directed at you, but you happen to be in the environment, it will imprint. You will be affected by it.
Okay. So just to go back to what we were speaking about in terms of someone coming to do a theta healing session. So you said you take them into like a meditative state, then they go into the theta brainwave. Then how do you navigate that session?
So what I would do is when I take them in, I'm going into theta as well. And then so over time, with being in that theta brainwave, you learn how to scan a person's energy body. And then I can, with their permission, I will scan their energy field, which is basically, if you break us down below molecules to below atoms, we're just energy. And essentially, now this is becoming more spiritual, but you can make it spiritual or not. It doesn't matter.
Spiritual beings having a human experience, so
100%.
Everything is spiritual. Every
100%, day. Yeah. So with practice, and everybody can do this. It just takes time to learn and to master the skill by practice. So with a little bit of practice, you learn how to scan a person's energy body, and you can see where there is stuck energy within the body, where the energy is a little bit more dense. And then you will often be shown, or you can sense where a person's had a trauma, or what is the reason why a person is suffering from whatever it is that they're suffering.
And when you say be shown, where does that information come from?
I think it comes from the energy of all that is. So if you learn how to read energy, and if you go into the theta brainwave, you will get information. You will get information about the person if you are focusing specifically on that person. If you go into theta and you are connected to your energy field, you're going to get information about your energy field as well. And so if you are wanting to find out about an issue, maybe you've had you wake up in the morning, you've got a headache. If you take yourself out of your head into that theta brainwave and you ask your energy field, or the creator of all that is, the energy force, whatever it is, why the headache is, you'll often get a sense through intuition or through guidance of why your head is sore. And me being a practitioner, I'm not actually the healer. I'm just witnessing what I'm shown. Mm-hmm. And then I witness it being healed. A lot of the work that we do, which I find is absolutely brilliant, because you can always witness someone heal, but unless you've done the belief work and digging down to why a person's got that issue in the first place, it can come back, and it often does come back. So one of the most fantastic things about theta healing is learning the art of digging and finding out the root causes of why a person is suffering with whatever they are suffering with. Okay, so with that, we will use applied kinesiology to test beliefs and programs that the person might have.
Can you just elaborate on kinesiology?
So kinesiology is using the body to confirm whether that person or the body has actually in fact got that belief, because obviously the system is one and all. So if you hold a belief, for instance, I have to sabotage my success in life, your body's going to know that. Your body will feel it in every cell.
So, but a practical example of kinesiology is like body show me yes.
Yes. So there are various ways. So you can use a polarity check, which is when you face north. So we have an automatic magnetic pull to the North Pole, which is positive. Again, connecting to everything that we're connected to everything. So if you face north, you're going to be automatically pulled forward by the magnetic pull. If you close your eyes, you're automatically accessing your unconscious mind. So if, for instance, we want to check, I have to sabotage my success, you would ask your client to close their eyes. They need to be hydrated, because we are 70% water. So obviously cells talk to cells. So hydration is essential. So as long as we are hydrated, we close our eyes and we repeat. The client repeats after the practitioner. On any level, I have to sabotage my life or my success. And then the body will either go forward or it will go back. So that's one example of kinesiology. Then you mentioned the finger. So the finger is brilliant. Unfortunately, you can't do it yourself. You need somebody to pull your fingers apart. So you just make a circle with your thumb and your index, and then the practitioner will ask the client to close their eyes and go yes, yes, yes. And she shouldn't be able to pull the fingers apart for a yes, because if something is a positive, you normally have strength. If it's a negative, you don't normally have strength. And then again, you would ask the client or the practitioner would ask the client to go no, 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 and they wouldn't be able to hold their fingers together. So that's another way of applied kinesiology. It takes two people. Something else is very good. You stand up and you put your arm upper sort of parallel to your shoulders. And again, with your eyes closed, the reason being because you want to check the subconscious beliefs that we are not aware of. Close your eyes and say yes, yes, yes. And you should be able to hold the practitioner from pulling your arm down. For a no, they won't have any, the client won't have any strength.
Okay, so back to what you were saying. You get someone to theta, you scan their bodies, you start digging for core belief systems or belief systems that are holding them back, especially around whatever issue they've brought into the field or into your session. And then you start using kinesiology as a way to
just to confirm that this in fact is a belief within their system.
Okay. And the one thing that's always got me confused is like you'll find a belief, like a core belief, but there'll be even more digging underneath that and more layers to uncover.
Yes.
So is it when you've witnessed that one thing healing, but it's still not moving, then you know, okay, there's something.
You've got to go deeper. You've got to go deeper
to dig.
So if you imagine a whole stack of blocks piled up, one on top of the other, and I, for instance, scan you, Daniela, and I pick up a belief. And it's easy for me to release that belief if we check it, muscle check it and make sure it's actually there. We can easily release it and replace it with something positive that's going to be more beneficial for you. But then, how does it serve you to have that belief? And that's when we can start digging and finding out, well, why did you have that belief in the first place? Is it good for you to have that belief? Are you protecting yourself from something else, perhaps? And as we start digging and getting down to the bottom belief, which often is completely unrelated to the subject at hand in the first place, which is always so interesting. But once we get down to that bottom belief and we pull it, it's amazing how all those blocks will just fall. And you may often, a whole lot of other belief will go with it. So I think that's one of the real special things about Theta Healing is that you can do a lot of clearing just by the art of digging, getting down to why people hold on to certain programs.
And if we had to, again, use a practical example. So I came in and I said, I'm very sensitive in aggressive spaces. So when somebody is being aggressive, it activates me in a way that is not necessarily normal.
Triggers you.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you would get me into a theta state, you would scan me, and we're going to use hypotheticals now, but just to break down like how it would look.
Okay, so I would then take you into a theta brainwave, and then you would just feel yourself calming completely. And then often I'm guided in a session, but I'm going to give you a hypothetical example, like you asked. So I would ask you then to think about a time in your past where you had you experienced an aggressive interaction with a person, and it really, really upset you. That it's just really, it's very much in your memory. You know, it's
the first thought that pops in is the one that is
the first one
most relevant. Yeah. Okay,
and then we'd start unpacking that and finding out. So, how did it make you feel? And what did you get out of it? What were you learning? So often everybody, we're all learning. Life is school pretty much. And every single person in your life is there to teach you something. And we can learn how to learn from being abused or from aggression or from having conflict in our lives. Or we can go, okay, well, you know what? I'd rather just learn from another way. I'd rather learn by having a lot of fun or laughing or having loving relationships where I feel like I'm guided and empowered and taught with respect and I'm open to that because I don't feel like I'm on my, the back foot the whole time. I don't feel like I'm about to be pounced on or attacked. So that's what we would heal. We would heal why are you showing up and creating those kind of experiences in your life. What are you learning? And let's complete it, heal it, move on, and create something completely different. An experience where, you learn through loving relationships and laughter rather than aggression. For instance.
Okay, so you scan me. Let's say you find I tell you about this experience that happened as to why that aggression triggers me so harshly. Then what if you scanned me? Where would you be scanning? What, again, hypothetically in this situation, what would come up?
So I'd have a look and see if there was trauma sitting in your body, in your energy field, around maybe having aggressive relationships with people and see. Like I'll give you a very good example is I had quite a difficult relationship with my father growing up. And, by the time he actually passed a couple of years ago, I'd healed our relationship. So it was actually my hardest relationship, probably my biggest teacher. And when I met the practitioner, the Theta Healing practitioner that taught me my first 2 courses, so he was a guy, and I walked in and sat down and he scanned me, and the first thing he said to me is, I think you hate men. And I looked at him and I said, no, I don't hate men. And he said, yeah, no, I think you hate men. Can we muscle check it? And I said, well, I'm happily married. Like, I don't hate men. Anyway, I got up and I faced north and I closed my eyes and I asked for my body to show me my yes, and it swung forward. And then I closed my eyes and I asked my body to show me my no, and I swung backwards. And then he said to me, okay, now repeat after me. I hate men. And choose one.
That was a belief system that you had developed.
Yeah, I hate men was a yes. And I was shocked. I did not realize I had that belief. And then when I left, I started thinking about it and I thought, no, I'd had a difficult relationship with my father and I didn't like him. And then I realized, well, it's time to heal this relationship. So no, it's empowering. It's beautiful, beautiful work. However, you have to be ready to look at your stuff. You have to be ready and be open enough to go and dig and introspect.
So once you've done the scanning, you've acknowledged what people's belief systems are. What is the process then? You imagine that belief system is healed, and then you create a new belief system?
Yeah. So what I would do is I make in Theta. So you can't do this work unless you're in the Theta brainwave. So as a practitioner, you would learn to hold the brainwave. So we are in and out of, there's 4 or 5 different brainwaves. You've got your beta, which we spend most of our waking day in. And then when we go to sleep, we bob between pretty much alpha, theta, which is your REM sleep, and delta. As you progress as a practitioner, you become much better at holding a theta state, and you can bob between a delta and theta state. It's very hard to stay awake in a delta state. Okay. So going into theta, I have to hold the theta brainwave. And then I will command in my mind's eye that belief that I hate men be removed from, or mainly my unconscious, okay? But any cell anywhere in my being that it is, I release it, resolve it, and replace it with I hate men. No. However, belief work needs to be done because I've got that belief for a reason. Because I found men very difficult growing up and very controlling and very it was hard. It was hard growing up with an older brother and a younger brother, and very strong, very loud, and quite I found quite overpowering. So I had to learn what it felt like to take up space and to stand up for myself and to say no to men, and know what it felt like to feel safe in a man's company. And know that, like what I said, what I say, what I feel can be respected and is respected by a man. So that is where the belief work is so important, is healing the trauma and building the person, giving them the tools to know that they are fine. They can actually release that need to hate men because it keeps you safe. If you hate someone, if you have a grudge against them, it keeps you away from them. So when you've got the tools, and you build those tools to what it's, I don't have to hate them. I can hold my own. And that's belief work. Does that explain? Am I explaining myself?
It does. Okay. It's very interesting that you use similar language to coding. I hate men. No. So like there's a negative, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I love men.
So you would put that in afterwards. So I would remove the program, witness it removing, replace it with I hate men, no. And the reason being is the unconscious is not an intelligent mind. It doesn't understand don'ts and can'ts and won'ts and so on. So any auxiliary verb, unconscious doesn't understand. So you want to be as direct as possible.
How did they figure that out?
I think maybe just through experimenting and working out that the universe doesn't understand, can't, because essentially nothing's actually impossible. And we are conditioned on planet Earth to believe that there are lots of things that we can't do. So we automatically grow up with limitations. So in the terms of, or in the rules of the universe, or the laws of the universe, essentially nothing's impossible. So that's something to ponder over.
Mm. When you do, because you're also a Theta Healer trainer.
Yes.
Like you train people on this. What are the different stages of the trainings? Like stage 1, how many are there first of all?
So your foundation courses, which you need to do the 3, because there's a lot to Theta Healing. There's a lot to it. There's a lot. The first and second seminars are over. I teach mainly online now, so it's over 4 days, 4 consecutive days, and there's a lot of content. And I think that for most people, once you've done those 8 days, you're feeling a little bit like, oh my word, that's a lot of information. And the third foundation course is pulling all of the information together and then practicing what you've learned, which is really good. So by the time you've done the 3 courses, you will feel more confident about what you're doing, because you need to take all that information and then just apply it and start using it. And then honestly, the more you do it, the more you practice, the more confident you become. And it will honestly open up so many things in your life in so many different areas. I mean, just to give you an example of my life, I noticed when I first started doing Theta Healing, I just started feeling happier. I became more balanced. My relationships with everybody improved. I had a good marriage. My marriage improved. I had a good family already, but my relationship with my daughters improved. And I started becoming more abundant. My business started growing, and it just carried on building and growing. And I think I've become a far more aware, compassionate person through it, because I've released a lot of my resentments, my anger, a lot of the traumas that I was carrying from my childhood, that I had inherited from my ancestors. So it's all round on every level. It's just beautifully beneficial. I think I would suggest everybody do the course, even if they never want to practice it, just for themselves. It's an investment. But it's about 6,200. In fact, it's 6,250 Rand for each of the seminars. I would recommend you do the first 3. And with that, you have a tool that you can use for life. Because by the end of that 3rd seminar, you know how to remove it. You know how to go into Theta, hold the Theta state, scan your own body, find negative beliefs, pull them, replace them with positive beliefs, and you know how to dig. It's the best, I think, investment anybody could make. I really do believe that. And then, of course, if you are like me, who's mad about health and well-being, and I've become super spiritual through this work, because you just do naturally become more aware of all that we are, it becomes a bit addictive. But it's beautifully addictive, not an addiction that I would want to stop. I think it's really, the more I do it, the more I love life. I think I'm learning how to really, really enjoy. So many people on the planet are living stressed out of their minds, or just depressed, or just not living, just not living in survival mode. And this modality, I have found, has pulled me out of just surviving into thriving, into living life, like experiencing and enjoying the joy of life. And we're supposed to be enjoying life. It's not supposed to be, yes, I think life is supposed to be challenging, but not all the time. And we are supposed to be able to overcome our challenges and grow and feel like we're growing and live life feeling fulfilled. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more self-aware you are, which these kinds of practices allow you to be, the more authentic you can be to self.
100%.
Instead of just going off unconscious programs that you didn't even know you had attached.
Exactly.
So are there only 3 courses?
So the 3 foundational courses for somebody that would like to do this for themselves and they don't want to practice. And of course, there's about 20 courses that Vianna Steibel, who's a founder of Theta Healing, has written. And then you just, after that, there are many courses. There's a manifesting an abundance course if you want to open up your abundance. There are relationship courses if you want to work on building beautiful relationships or finding your soulmate or your divine life partner. I've done this year the intuitive anatomy because I'm very interested in health and medicine. And next year I want to take the diseases and disorders course. So those are quite advanced courses. So there's a course for everything. You grow in every course. It's nice to have a coach, of course, if you want to build your life and find somebody that can help you achieve your dreams. But of course, obviously, doing the first 3 courses, you're going to have the ability to do a lot of the work yourself. But also, you can do a lot of the work yourself, and then you would only find your coach or someone who's got more skill and more experience than you if you get stuck. If there's something, a challenge or an issue in your life that you really feel like you need some extra help with.
So if we go into what each course entails, from one up until, what does that look like? So in the first course, you learn how to go into theta.
Okay,
You learn how to scan. Please continue.
Okay. So the first course you would learn, exactly. You would learn how to go into a theta brainwave, hold that brainwave. And then you would learn to download the body with unconditional love, because obviously we want to bring our energy body back to its natural state of love and light and being light. And just automatically from downloading someone with unconditional love, they're going to feel lighter. And the more we live in an energy of love and light, the happier we are, because we just move into more flow.
How do you download?
Just ask, you witness it. So
we see it happening, manifesting.
Absolutely. So you witness it happening. You witness every cell of that person's body being filled up with unconditional love. So that's what you learn in the first course, together with being able to scan a person's body, seeing any dark energy anywhere in the body. You'll learn about the chakra systems. So that's a bit of Eastern medicine. And you will learn how to find a negative belief in a person's subconscious mind. You will learn how to remove that negative belief and replace it with a positive belief. You will also learn how to scan a person for a feeling that they've never experienced in their life for whatever reason. So sometimes people, for instance, a lot of people grow up in apartments these days and they don't have a garden, and they've never really had the opportunity to play out in the garden.
Nature.
Yeah, connect with nature. And they actually don't have the knowingness of what it feels like to wander into that place of, their make-believe life. And so that's a feeling you could just download for somebody if they haven't got it. Or someone doesn't know what it feels like to have money. They maybe grew up in a home or household where their parents aren't very affluent and they don't have extra cash, or they find that they really are always living a little bit in lack. Then you would teach that client what it feels like actually to have money. And with the laws of the universe, we attract what we are and what we feel. So if we don't know what a feeling is, if we don't know what it feels like to feel love and know what love feels like, we can't attract it to us. So we have to know it first. If we don't know what it feels like to be abundant, we can't attract abundance into our lives. So that's another aspect of Theta Healing, which is really cool. You can download feelings and teach people what it feels like to know certain things.
Okay, so that's course 1.
That's course 1. In course 2, and then we activate your DNA strands in your pineal gland, in the master cell. So we do a bit of gene work in the first course, which activates your youth and vitality chromosome, which again is something you're going to also experience from doing theta healing. You will feel, or you will start becoming and feeling healthier physically. And so the DNA 1 activation just increases and improves your physical health. Just you become more psychic or intuitive, and physically you become more robust or stronger. So that's first course. Second course, you are downloaded with about 150 feelings, which again is lovely because it takes you to a whole new level of experiencing life. Lots and lots of feelings that we've never experienced are downloaded for us. And then also, again, just some techniques, some healing techniques that you learn around bringing back soul fragments from past relationships or people that you've lost, which allows us to become more whole and complete within ourselves. So the story about soul fragments is whenever you have a close relationship with somebody, you give a part of yourself to them. It's a very natural phenomena. And when that relationship's finished or that person passes, they pass with your soul fragments and your body fragments. And so there's a beautiful exercise that teaches you how to bring those fragments back so that you feel more complete and you don't feel like you're longing for that person the whole time or you can't get past that person. So there are lots of lovely techniques that are taught in both the courses, okay, other than learning how to hold the theta state and remove programs and download feelings. What else is in the advanced course? Yeah, it's pretty much that's in the advanced course. And then, of course, you practice. There are 10 different ways in which you can dig down to a bottom belief. And you learn about those 10 ways in the first course and the second course.
What are those 10 ways?
So the 10 ways is, first of all, fears. So fears hold us back from living our best life. Okay, when we have too many fears, we just stay stuck. So it's identifying our true fears and healing them. Then there is a saying that Vienna says is, if we want to really, really live our best lives, get rid of the 3 R's, which are any resentments that we have, any times we felt rejected, and resentment, rejection, and I can't think of the third one now. Rejection, resentment, and I'll come back to it. Regret. So regret keeps us stuck in the past, which prevents us from moving forward and creating a better life. Resentments takes so much energy and time up in the brain that we are so busy trying to resolve the resentments that we never have energy and space to create. And rejection takes our confidence away, and we don't have the confidence to take the next step moving forward. So we work on how to heal those 3 areas of our lives. And we learn also a beautiful technique, forgiveness technique, which pallies with it. It marries beautifully with the 3 R's. Then we taught how to manifest and find out what the blocks are. So you create your manifestation, or you visualize what you would love to manifest in your life. And then through that, you ask your client what's going to go wrong. And through that technique, you can find out what their blocks are. So that's 4. Then we carry a lot of programming and beliefs from our ancestors and from our parents. Lots. And so all 3 courses, or actually the 3rd course is just really practice, but the first 2 courses teaches you how to go down the lineage to where belief started and clear it, and then clear it for yourself as well. So that's 5 different techniques. And then the 6th technique is, if you believe, and it's not essential for theta healing, if you believe in past lives, sometimes we don't finish or we bring back memories or unresolved issues from past lives that need to be sorted because they don't really apply in this lifetime.
So you believe in past lives?
I see past lives for people often. A lot of my clients don't believe in past lives. It doesn't affect the work. You just hear what you see. So, if you believe in past lives, one can work on them. It's not essential for theta healing. Group conscious beliefs as well. they all reside sort of in the auric field of a person. So anything that's older, any belief that's older than 7 generations down your ancestral lineage will sort of hover in this part of your auric field. Group conditioning beliefs, like for instance, a brilliant group conditioning belief that South Africans have is that it's hard to make money in South Africa. It's so many people got it. It's a group. It's a country belief. It's a continent. Actually, I don't even think it's just South Africa. It's an African continent belief. Okay, so I work with a guy, and we collapse. We work on just working on the group conscious beliefs of the world, and we just collapse them so that people, once they raise their vibration, can unhook automatically. They don't have to be part of it any longer. So that all those beliefs, it's sort of And then, so those are 6 different ways, and 7 is diseases. So when I work with quite a few people that unfortunately have only come to seek this sort of work when they're sick, but at least they've shown up, and you will ask questions around what was going on in their lives, like when they got sick or around about that time. So often, a beautiful example of that is I had a client who came to see me with breast cancer. And so I asked her, why does she think she's got breast cancer? And she says, I have no idea why. And I said to her, well, has anything changed in your life in the last 6 months? And she said, no, actually, yes, my husband's left and he's living in Dubai. He's taken a job in Dubai and he's left me with the 3 kids and I'm not coping. And I said, are you angry with your husband? And she said, yes, I am. And so we worked on that, on her anger towards him. And we realized that the breast cancer was because he had left her to go and actually make more money, but she felt abandoned.
Yes.
And she felt resentful for the fact that she was now left to bring up 3 children.
And they also had a belief system that he would have to come home and look after her. So being sick actually served her.
100%.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then with sickness number 2 is you would ask the person that's sick to visualize. So again, take them into theta and ask them to visualize how their life would look if they got better. So now this is another good example. This is Vienna's example. So she was treating a lady who also had breast cancer. Excuse me. And she would heal this lady. And this lady would get better and she would go away. And then about 2-3 months later, she would come back and Vienna would heal her again. And then she'd go away. And this happened
many times,
about 4 or 5 times. And Vienna, then she said to her, well, do you not want to just get better now? And she said, no, I don't want to get better. So Vienna said, why? So she said, because my husband's had affairs his whole life, our whole married life. And just before I got this cancer, he had met somebody that he wanted to marry. He wanted to leave me for her. And so she said, if I get better, he's going to leave me. But also, he needs to pay for all the times that I've had to sit and watch him having affairs.
Wild.
It's his time to pay. Yeah. So again, as a practitioner, that's her choice. We have to honor her free will. So, I wouldn't choose that myself, but that's what she chose. So she wanted to be well enough to live her life, but she didn't want to kick the cancer. Interesting, huh?
So, okay, we touched on number 7. Was 7 or 8?
Yeah, I think we're about 8 now. Then virtues. Virtues are, a beautiful way to heal, mastering virtues. So you can download and master virtues with Theta Healing. And then the 10th way is impossible. So, for instance, with Theta Healing, we believe that nothing's impossible to heal. So a lot of, doctors out there will say you can never heal diabetes, you can never heal certain things. And that is not Vienna's, that's not her belief. And she's quite an amazing woman. She healed herself from cancer of the leg. She had cancer in her fever, which was about 22, 23. and she had 3 small children at that stage. And the doctors said to her, we cannot help you, but we can maybe amputate the leg, which will give you longer. And she just said to them, I've got 3 young children. There's no ways I can't look after them with one leg. It's not going to happen. So she said, thank you very much. She was in agony and she left. And that is how Theta Healing for her came about, because she healed her cancer. But she's pulled herself out of a coma. She's healed herself from congestive heart failure. So she's healed the impossible. She's quite an amazing woman. So it's an interesting modality, Theta. It's a very, very interesting modality.
What do the rest of so we've got through 1, 2, and 3, which is the practicing. Then the rest, you don't have to go into detail, but like what other stuff can you expect to learn? I mean, this is very interesting because it makes you tie it all together.
Yeah.
It's not just some airy theory.
Yes. Okay. So if you've done the basic, advanced, and the dig deeper, those are the 3 foundation courses. Depending on your, where you want to go, what's going on in your life. So the 3 things that I find are areas that most people have an issue with is around financial abundance, relationships, and health. And so if, for instance, you've completed the 3 courses and you are finding that you've started a business, or you would like to start a business, or you're working for somebody and you're just not earning enough, and you're finding that you're battling to make ends meet, I would suggest you go and do the Manifesting in Abundance course. There are a couple of courses that are also brilliant that you can add on to those. There's a course called You and Your Inner Circle, and that teaches you how important it is to have the right people in your space, have people working with you for your highest and best. And how important it is to have people in your world that shout out for you, that love you, that actually truly, truly want the best for you. Okay, so that's what that course is about. And then there are, what other courses? World Relations is also a really good course. If you've got an international business, it teaches you how important, or how our prejudices that we've inherited. Many of them are inherited prejudices against. I've just finished the World Relations course, and I didn't have very many nice things to say about the Americans. And actually, a lot of my business comes from America. So all the beliefs that I had to heal were all from my ancestors. So we have lots and lots of beliefs that we don't even know we have, and that it does affect our ability to earn certain currencies, to work with certain different cultures. So that's also a really, really good course for abundance. Every single course opens one up. Connecting with yourself, you and the Creator, is also a brilliant course. It teaches you how to have strength in your connection with your faith. So even if you are very religious, doesn't matter. Theta Healing just supports and promotes your belief systems, and it strengthens your faith and your ability to trust in the fact that the universe is actually working for you, and that you've actually got a divine guide. So this is something that you can't, it's not tangible. Well, it's tangible for me because I'm working with it and I experience it, but it's so hard to describe. It's something that you need to experience yourself. And the more you do it, the more you feel that your connection with everybody just gets better and better. And the fact that your connection is getting better with everybody else, you seem to just become more attractive. So that's abundance, financial abundance. Then in terms of love relationships, or just relationships, period, there's You and Your Significant Other, brilliant course. Soulmate, also brilliant course. I would suggest the You and the Creator again, also just because it connects you with you, and you with your divine connection of, to divinity, to God, source, whoever it is that you feel resonates with you. What other courses? And then, of course, if you're interested in health, and if, for me, I'm very interested in helping people heal. There's the Intuitive Anatomy, which is about a month-long course. There's Diseases and Disorders, which is about 5 days. long. It's a week course. Teaches you all about the different diseases and how to treat them. And then there are lots of other courses.
Like in that course, is it all about how different diseases manifest from belief systems?
Yeah.
And what the core, so similar to Louise Hay.
Yes.
Can heal myself.
So actually, Vienna, Vienna's not said this, but I'm sure Vienna and Louise Hay they were good friends. And I think that Louise used affirmations. You know, you would sit in front of the mirror and you would affirm 100 times a day or whatever. Vienna's taken it one step further. She managed to do it instantly by reaching a theta state.
Mm-hmm. So you can directly communicate.
Yeah, and you don't have to, affirm the same belief 100 times over before it's, accepted by the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, because that's really what's driving us. Our 80% of our life is dictated by our unconscious mind.
A theme that keeps coming up for me in my healing journey is around safety, and not feeling safe.
Not feeling safe.
Yeah. Okay. And then also, like, I bite my fingernails, filthy habit that I've been doing it since I was a child. And when I looked at Louise Hayes, the affirmation that she gave is, it's safe to grow up.
Okay.
Yes. And then also like
that's lovely.
Yeah. But like you said, it's something that I've been working on for a long time, but it's still a prominent thing in my life, even around safety. I think when people get aggressive and I have such a visceral reaction to it, it's because of that feeling of unsafety. I'm not safe in this environment. Or even if I'm in an environment where somebody doesn't acknowledge my presence the way that I acknowledge other people's presence. Like if you're sitting in a room, I'm not going to act like you're not there. But there are people in the world that
will just ignore you. Yeah.
Well, they're not actively ignoring me. They're just so wrapped up in themselves. But my body does not want to be in that person's space.
Yes.
Because I don't feel like I'm seen. So I might as well be somewhere else where I am seen. And even if that's with myself, I'm far more comfortable than being around someone who doesn't even have the decency to greet me properly. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
That's definitely something that needs to be worked on, because it shouldn't bother me as much as it does of how someone else is behaving. Like if it's not directly impacting me, then why does it bother me to this point?
Maybe you're not seeing you. Maybe you need to see you. So remember something. With this work, whatever we are, we attract to us. And so maybe you never felt seen as a child. Is that possible?
So how do I see myself?
You teach yourself, ask Creator to show you how to see yourself. And ask Creator to show you how Creator sees you, because that's you and your beauty, your magnificence.
Okay. That's all very interesting. Very reflective. Difficult. I find that stuff difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time with this work, and this is one thing that I've always admired about people who do work like you do, is knowing or differentiating between your head voice versus what's intuitively coming to you. Okay. Because a lot of the time when I have that intuitive messaging, I block it immediately because my rational mind.
Yes, gets in the way. Yes.
So like even I did the Theta Healing course with you, and I only took away a few practices, like the ball of light to push up, and then the kinesiology.
Okay.
But my mind was too blocked to receive the information, my rational mind. I think you have to accept something first. Accept a belief system. Like for instance, if you have a programming that says this information is not true, immediately reject that information. So if I'm like on the fence as to like, is this true, isn't it? I'm going to just kind of see. Then of course, whilst I'm doing the course, I'm not going to receive the information as to someone who's like, I know this works.
No, I think you do. I think you do receive it. I just think sometimes it takes longer for some people to clear than others. So and even for myself, Daniela, I was on the fence at the beginning. I really was. I was never wanting to practice it, as I said. And when I started working on myself and on my friends, I was almost like experimenting with them to see, actually, does this really work? Is it really real? You know, the book I loved and it resonated and made so much sense to me. But I'm quite skeptical. And I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to be skeptical. I think you maybe are as well. I think you need to know that you're not being pulled into something or having the wool pulled over your eyes and going into something that actually doesn't really work. So I had that. I mean, I did have my reservations. And anyway, I would work on my clients, and actually I didn't work on myself. Wasn't ready to work on myself. So that took a bit of work as well. So I was happy to work on other people, and they just started enjoying how they felt. And then through word of mouth, other people wanted to come and have sessions. And so that's how it grew. And then people said to me, well, we'd love to learn how to do this. And of course, I wasn't qualified to teach. So I thought, okay, let me go and learn how to teach this, because now this business is growing. It must work. But I'm still not working on myself, and I'm still not convinced that it works. So I invest a lot of money and I go and do my teachers in Valencia. And that was when I left 10 days later, and I was like, oh my word, this is the real deal. This is amazing. This is powerful.
What have been some of the most profound lessons that you've learned working with other people?
I think everybody's got their time, and it's okay. And as much as I always just wanted to heal everybody, people heal in their own time, and they come when they're ready. So it's taught me to be humble and to be patient and to allow and just work with compassion and allow people to show up when they are ready, because everybody is ready when they are ready, and that's quite fine. I've never advertised, and I'm never going to advertise, because I think this work it's guided work. My clients show up when they're ready. And that's always worked for me. And people say, how do you get business? And I get busier and busier every year. But I've done this for 14 years now. And I can feel that from all the training and all the teaching and all the clients that I've seen, I'm starting to really know what I'm doing now. It takes quite a while to get skillful at theta healing. It's not an easy modality to master. It's easy to hold the theta state. Actually, it's much easier than you think. And it's very easy to release a belief and download feelings. But to scan the body is hard. It takes time to learn. And to really become a good theta practitioner, it takes practice and it takes skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say I'm honestly starting to see beautiful results with clients. Just recently, somebody's endometriosis has healed. The doctors can't believe it, because she's been on no treatment, and we've just been doing theta healing, and she's been using castor oil packs. Interesting. And I worked on somebody's thyroid. She had Hashimoto's and an underactive thyroid, and I can't even remember what the session was about, but it was profound. And I could feel that her thyroid healed in that session. I said, you have to go and do bloods. Anyway, I got a message a couple of days ago saying that she's got no more antibodies in her thyroid. So,
wow.
Amazing.
My friend's mom actually has that. This is the second time of me hearing of that. Yeah. I must send her your way. Because she's also tried many, many, many things in the medical industry, been going to neurosurgeons. She keeps like fainting. They give her medication.
No.
There's a lot of stuff going on with her. So that's amazing to know that.
Yeah, it's lovely when you start getting results, and it really makes you feel, I think it's nice to feel inspired about what you're doing. But I can tell you, Dan, that everybody that has a session feels better. You feel lighter. You become more balanced. You start releasing your fears, like your safety thing. You heal that quickly. So happy to work with you. You know how to do theta. Just give you some guides. Just healing your traumas around not feeling safe, probably as a child. Just healing those traumas and working out how it served you. How does it serve you not to feel safe? What's it stopping you from doing?
See, there immediately my rational mind kicks in there.
Okay. So when you go into theta brainwave, when you hold that brainwave, you get out of
That state.
that rational state. And then you can start accessing it. You know, we are all wired to live in our left brain. We're all left brain dominant, most of us.
So do you have any kind of belief system or religion? Because this is considered to be a belief system, because unless you believe that the work works, then you're kind of wasting your time, right?
I don't think you need to believe that it works. I think that if you believe that there's a higher being, like if you believe in a God or some sort of divine force, whatever it may be, that's all you need. You don't need to believe in theta healing.
Okay, but there has to be a belief in something.
Yeah, you need to believe that we have a higher being, whether it's God or whether it's a greater force.
So you call that being creator?
It doesn't matter.
What do you personally call that being?
Well, so I'm Christian, and so I believe in Christianity. I believe in God. I do think that there are some conditions and indoctrinations around the church that I'm not a fan of.
Like?
But that we go to hell. I don't believe that. I believe we create our own hell. If we sin, we go to hell, whatever. But I do believe in the fundamentals of religion, in the fact that it brings communities together, and it revolves around a beautiful platform of consciousness, of virtuous behavior, and I do like that. I really do, and I think churches are really important for a lot of people because it brings people together, and I think we should be working together for each other, for the greater good of everybody, and helping each other.
Where do you think the feeling of guilt stems from the church? Because a lot of people who are very religious suffer from a lot of guilt versus people who are more gospel orientated. But even so, I still find it very difficult to integrate into the Christian lifestyle because of the exclusivity around certain things. Like, for instance, what I've mentioned to other people on this podcast, so it's interesting to get everybody else's perspective, but God condemns divination, which is seeing into the future or seeking supernatural powers without God's will. So I think that we are gifted spiritually, and there's modalities, and Vianna downloaded this information because it was sent to her to heal.
Yes.
And God calls for our healing.
Yeah.
But then most Christians would say that this work is demonic.
Yes. So it's an interesting one. Interestingly enough, Vianna is very religious. So she's got a very strong faith, Christian faith. And her feeling with theta healing is that, or her belief is what she's been shown by Creator, is that we are the world or the universe is created by divine laws. And the only law of the universe that we cannot dishonor is the law of free choice and free will. So no church or governing body has a right to take away from us free choice and free will. And I think that is one area of the church where it has been manipulated. And I think there are a lot of controls within the church that stop us from living free, to use our gifts, to be free to create, to be free to live without feeling guilty or thinking that we've done something wrong or that we're evil or we do this or that, whatever.
But it's not only the church, but actual interpretation of scripture, which makes it difficult. Because also a lot of the stuff was written in Old Testament times. And once again, if I listen to a pastor preach about these things, it makes sense. But then when I listen to you, it makes sense. And when I listen to somebody else with another healing modality, for me, it all comes from a place of healing, a place of good intention.
Yeah.
All of it. No matter what you're following, what belief system you're following. And it's so difficult because there's so many different interpretations.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, we are all unique. We all have our own way of, our own perceptions, our own way of seeing things. And I think if I could give you any advice, Daniela, is be true to you. You know, connect with you and go, what feels right for me? As long as you're not harming anybody. You know, if your intention is pure, how can it be wrong? If your intention is pure, if you're wanting good, if you're looking at things from a place of pure intent, goodness, compassion, love, can't be wrong. That's my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it may be. That makes sense. That's what I would say.
So do you feel like there's anything that we haven't touched on that we should have, or is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I think maybe to conclude, I would just recommend that most of us on this planet are happy with what we have, or don't believe we can change what we have. And I would love to suggest that you know, or that you look at the possibility of expanding yourself. Yeah, expanding yourself, because there's so much more to you than you think there is. And I've only discovered that through Theta Healing. And yeah, whether it's Theta Healing or something else that helps you grow, I just think we all need it. We all need it. And you will never be sorry. You will never be sorry. Because at the end of the day, we are unlimited beings. We don't realize it. I think there's a lot of conditioning that has happened for all of us. And most of us live feeling limited, or thinking that we're limited and that we can't do better. And you can.
Just also, like, I want to actually ask this. Do you have a dream for the work that you're doing? Do you feel like there's something in your heart that needs to be achieved or put out into the universe as to what you want to create? Or do you just feel like you're comfortable with how things are going? So,
no, I do have many dreams. So I've always wanted, you know, it makes me really sad when I see people that are struggling. So yesterday our electrician came to repair a plug, and he's suffering from Parkinson's, and he's such a lovely man. He's probably in his 70s. He's wanting to show up and carry on working, but he's shaking so much. And I just thought to myself, I actually just asked Creator, let's heal him. Let's heal him. I want to help people like that. I want to help them heal. So that is my ultimate goal. But if I can reach as many people while I'm still on this planet to help them step into empowering themselves, I'm going to be really, really happy.
So do you feel like you're basically just a vessel that God works through in order to help they heal people?
Yeah, I think so.
And the more that you do the work, the more you let go of you needing to do anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm realizing in everybody that I'm talking to, because again, everyone's doing so many different kinds of modalities, but they're all based around the same thing.
Absolutely. I think that we're living in a beautiful time. I know there's so much chaos in the world at the moment, but there's a lot of good coming. There's a lot of good. There's so much change. There's so many people like you and me that are doing amazing work.
Yeah, that's the reason that I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, is to pay homage to South Africans who are they were brave enough to step into an unknown world, and unknowingly they are shifting things in the, as you say, collective consciousness,
Yeah.
as well as personal individual lives. And you don't know whose life you may impact that may go on to change the world.
True that. And you know what? South Africans are just such flamboyant, open,
Conscious.
conscious and just beautiful people. There's just so much love. There's actually so much love.
Yeah, I love it, yeah. I would
in the
love
cancels.
it.
Yeah.
It makes
people
me
are
very
open.
proud.
People are willing to try. There's heart. South Africans wear their heart on their sleeves. There's a lot of heart here, and you can do a lot with heart. You can do a lot with love.
How do you think that we can, as people who are growing and healing and doing all kinds of different modalities, how can we help our communities or affect our communities beyond just doing our own self-improvement? Because I really believe when you focus too much on self that you become almost narcissistic in a way. If you're not helping other people, you could get trapped in your own healing, like constant need to heal, instead of actually just starting from a place of wholeness. You know what I'm trying to ask?
I do. So I think that healing yourself is the first step. And once you've healed yourself, you become, you're whole. You're whole, you're complete, and you've got so much more to give.
An overflowing cup.
Yeah. And then you can look at all the different ways how you can give back. So it starts with healing self.
Mm. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
It's a great pleasure. It's been wonderful to have this chat.
Everybody, if you like this episode, please can you subscribe, like, comment, do all the things that will show us appreciation and love for the things that we do and the stories that we are bringing to you. If there is anybody else that you feel would be great to have on the podcast and you want to know more about a certain subject, please drop it in the comments and we will go from there. Heather, thank you very much for your time. How will people find you if they want to know more about the
Oh, right. Okay. So you can have a look at my website. It's www.heather-mckenna, McKenna.com. That's probably the best way.
Awesome.
All right. And well done to you, Dan. This is fabulous. I love it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is really it's what we need. So yeah, thank you for your part, for what you're doing. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be here today. I enjoyed this.